What's up, everybody? Today I have with me a wildlife expert and biologist. He has traveled the globe searching for rare and endangered species. He has wrestled crocodiles in an electric camo suit and somehow scored one of the highest survival ratings in Naked and Afraid history. He's also the host of Extinct or Alive, Mysterious Creatures, and he's got a brand new Shark Week special dropping this summer. Forrest Galante, how are you?
Amber, I am great. What a good intro. I can't believe you found the Naked and Afraid info. That's going way back.
Oh, come on. That's like the first thing on your Wikipedia page, Forrest.
Oh no.
See, you're gonna work your whole life making sure that's not your claim to fame.
Seriously, didn't even know that was there, but there we go.
Well, I do want to touch on that because that was your first time on camera. But before you got into all this TV stuff, you grew up in Zimbabwe. Can you just tell me a little bit about your childhood and where this love for animals came from?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like you said, grew up in Zimbabwe. My family ran safari businesses, and I lived on a farm. So if I wasn't in school, I was barefoot in the bush somewhere, whether that was chasing fish around the dam on the farm or off on safari learning how to track wildlife. So, you know, I don't think it would have mattered if I grew up in Zimbabwe or Cleveland, Ohio. I think this is something that's ingrained in me. My sister grew up the same way. She works in fashion. So, I think some of us are just dedicated to these things. And I had this idyllic childhood and this incredible remote wildlife. And I came here due to political turmoil to the United States in 2001 and continued to pursue wildlife in an entirely different avenue, become a biologist, and ultimately end up sharing my love of wildlife on TV.
Well, as we discussed, you were on Naked and Afraid. You survived 21 days, if I remember correctly, in the Panamanian jungle. Was that
Mhm.
sort of your jumping off point into TV hosting?
It definitely wasn't my jumping off point into hosting. What it was my eye opening into the something I'd never considered before. So I joined Naked and Afraid after coming home from a really tough biological contract out on the California Channel Islands, right out my window, right there, exhausted. And I thought, having no money and being a biotech, I was like, this will be a great holiday. So I spent 21 days naked in the jungles of Panama. And when that show came out, I looked at the reach that show had, the 4 million views that show got. And then I looked at a paper that I had worked on with several collaborators for 3 years that got 400 reads. And I was like, wow, one of these two things can reach a lot more people. So that was really the eye opener for me. That was the catalyst to creating my own TV show, pitching it for years and years and years before it got picked up, starting a production company, and so on and so forth.
Man, well, kudos to you. It's the bugs for me. Like mosquitoes love me fully clothed, so I can only imagine I would just be a smorgasbord out in the jungle.
Yeah, you very well may be. For some reason, the bugs leave me alone, so I'm very lucky.
What's it like to be God's favorite for us? Well, you've dealt with just about everything out there, sharks, crocs, snakes, you name it. Is there one animal encounter or species that just really sticks with you the most?
Not really. I love wildlife for what it is. And I think maybe what makes what I do so unique is I don't really care if it's flipping over a log and looking at an earthworm or, putting your hands on a 28-foot basking shark like we did in the upcoming special. Like they're both just as interesting to me in their own rights. And obviously I like the more rare, the more special the interaction, but regardless, I think all wildlife is fantastic. It doesn't matter what it is.
Has there ever been a moment out in the field though where you genuinely thought like, okay, this could really go wrong
Me? Oh God, yeah. What, you mean this week?
every
Uh,
day?
I mean, I was literally 48 hours ago, I was chasing a bison around in a helicopter with a net gun trying to make sure it didn't run into a fence. And if the helicopter had hit the fence before the bison, things would have gone very wrong. So, yeah, I mean, we have instances all the time. I've been in two plane crashes. I've had a lion fall asleep on top of me after darting it, stung by jellyfish, been shot at, chased. Like, we've been through it. But this is what I do 250 plus days a year. So when you do these kind of things, you really never know what's going to happen.
You have to be a special kind of person to do what you do, and I mean that as the highest compliment. Is there anything in the wild world though that just legitimately terrifies you, like something you don't want to do or an animal you don't want to come in contact with?
Yeah, parasites. I would much rather deal with a cobra than malaria any day of the week. And unfortunately, dealing with parasites and the places I go in the Amazon and Southeast Asia and Southern Africa and Central Africa, there are a lot of pretty rough uh, illnesses, parasites, waterborne diseases. Those are the things I don't want to run into. I have no worries about the animals. Those I can see and handle. It's the things that you can't see that are the problem.
I want to touch on a serious note really quick. You've testified in front of Congress on conservation funding. You've helped relocate elephants.
Mhm.
In this era of AI and debates over data centers and public lands, do you think that this advocacy is kind of more important now than ever?
You know, I think that advocacy I actually don't think advocacy is that important. What I think is so important is having a passion, because if enough people care about something, then it's always going to be protected. And I don't think that comes in the form of, it does for some people, testifying in front of Congress, which I myself have done, or being an extremist in any regard. I just think it comes from exposure. I think what happens in today's world is we're so disconnected from nature by staring at our screens 24/7 that we've forgotten the importance of connectivity to the outside world, to wildlife, to nature. And when we are able, and you're seeing a big movement now of this on social media, when you're able to disconnect from the screens a little bit and go and reconnect, whether you call that grounding or sunbathing or any of these nonsense things, when you just go and reconnect with nature a little bit, you realize how much that changes your entire being and how important it is as creatures that have evolved to spend time outdoors and in nature. And I think that allows us to fall in love with it, and that's where the advocacy comes from. Because if we love something, if we're passionate about it, whether that's your local park or an elephant, it doesn't really matter. That's how a group mentality can actually protect it. So my advice is exposure more so than advocacy.
There's just something really beautiful about being out in the woods or out on the water where the work notifications can't reach you.
It's the most important thing, I swear. It's the only thing that keeps me sane. But, everybody's different. You don't have to do it 250 days a year. But if you can just get out and have that feeling of disconnectedness, it makes you feel much more connected.
Absolutely. Now let's get into the sharks because that's why we're here, right? What first made you think I want to dive into the ocean and hunt down some murder fish?
I grew up in a landlocked country where we didn't have an ocean or sharks. And so it's always, the grass is always greener on the other side, right? You always think, oh man, if only there was an ocean, I could learn so much and spend so much time doing that. And when I first came to California when I was 14 years old, coming out of the bush of Zimbabwe, California felt incredibly tame and candidly a little bit boring until I discovered the ocean. And then when I started diving in the ocean, it was like being on the African Serengeti all over again, where you have giant mammals and huge predators and seals and sea lions and tiny fish and slugs and all these incredible things. And it really opened my eyes to a whole nother wild world that I knew very little about. And that fascination, like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter if it's a sea slug or a great white shark, it's there for all of them.
So Forrest has an upcoming Shark Week special called Alien Sharks Untamed America. It premieres July 29th on Discovery. Forrest, you've been doing alien sharks for a while now. You've done Japan, Australia, but this one's tied to America 250. Did this just seem like a natural time to bring it on home?
Well, first of all, America, baby, right? Like here we are. We're in the greatest nation in the world. I'm so thankful to be here in America. I love this country. It's offered me the opportunity to do what I love so much and I'm so passionate about. And one thing that I've seen undeniably is that people that live here think that you have to travel to the far reaches of the globe to see cool wildlife. And we have some of the most incredible, most iconic wildlife on the entire planet right here in the United States. None more so than our amazing diversity of elasmobranchs, of sharks and stingrays. And so the whole point of Alien Sharks America is to show people what we have here in our backyard. We have some of the coolest, the largest, the smallest, the weirdest, and the most bizarre and incredible sharks right here in the United States. So on the show, I travel coast to coast, California, the Gulf, Florida, all the way up to New England, showing off these amazing sharks. And I really hope that people watching go, wow, we have such cool sharks here in the USA.
So give us the scoop. I mean, we can probably all name like great whites, tiger sharks, bull sharks, those sort of things. But what's the most alien shark in this special? Maybe one that Americans have never even heard of.
Oh my goodness. There's we in this show we probably hit 15 or 16 different species, but there are some incredible ones like the little glow in the dark swell shark, which glows under fluorescent light. It puffs up like a puffer fish. It lives in cracks and crevices under the sea floor and is very rarely seen, all the way to a vegetarian shark. We have a bonnethead shark in this show, which is the only known shark in the world that has a gut biome adapted to eating seagrass in addition to hunting and eating fish. So it's omnivorous. And it can partake in parthenogenesis, which means they can literally clone themselves without reproducing, without breeding. I mean, and the list goes on and on. Gigantic school bus sized basking sharks, sawfish with a nose of a chainsaw that looks like it's built on something out of Star Wars. I mean, just some incredible species. And that's just four that I can mention briefly from the show. We really get some amazing animals in this show.
Now a vegetarian shark, I like the idea of that. That feels like one I could swim with.
Yeah, everybody could. That's the good thing. Yeah.
Now there's this theory that some people have, my husband might be one of them, that there are aliens on Earth and they live in the ocean. Do you subscribe to that theory?
I use the term alien to try and grab people's attention around the sharks. I don't know much about extraterrestrials. I've got friends who, like your husband, believe all kinds of silly things. I'm a biologist. I look at facts and I look at wildlife, and I'm so narrowly focused on that. I know very little outside of that. But I'll tell you this, if I ever find an alien on one of my shark dives, I'll call you first.
Please do. Please do. That's the breaking news I want here. So let's talk about facts though. It could be me, but it seems like there's been so many headlines over the past year, maybe more so than usual, that keep pointing to shark attacks or sightings happening around the country. What's actually going on there? Are there more sharks? Are there more people in the water? Is it a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of everything. So, shark populations in a lot of places like California and Florida have rebounded because historically 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, we had overfished a lot of that area and the sharks had moved out. So with good conservation efforts means the predators are coming back and they're always the last ones to come back. In addition to that, it's, I think it's the hottest summer on record this summer. So people are going in the water. There's more people than ever. We have cell phones, so the media around it is happening, and all of these various things. In addition to that, summertime is when sharks like to hunt coastally and coming close to the beaches, which is, of course, where and when we're swimming. So when you put all these factors together, that's why we see this spike in shark bites every single summer. It's nothing to do with the sharks wanting to eat us, because of the time of year or because there's more of them. It's just everything to do with this sort of perfect confluence of situations that lead to more interactions in general. And it's a fraction of a percent of those interactions that end up being negative that is what we're all talking about.
I mean, obviously, anytime you go into the ocean, there are risks, but what are some safety tips that you want people to know as they're heading to the beach with their families this summer?
The best thing you can do is educate yourself. Think about where you're going, learn what the species are. If you want just some blanket advice, don't go in the water at dawn or dusk. Don't swim near river mouths. That's when sharks are feeding. They're crepuscular, right? So they feed at dawn and dusk. Don't swim near river mouths, which is where sharks like to congregate. Don't go swimming by yourself. If you see no one on the beach, that's usually not a good place to go swimming. And on the flip side of that, don't go swimming where people are fishing and throwing bait in the water and things like that. There are some nuanced things that a lot of people don't think about, like the crackling of a water bottle or even the crunching of a beer can sounds a lot like the crunching of fish bones to a shark, and it can make them come and investigate. Wearing something highly shiny like jewelry or sequences or anything with those little mirrors on that put out light, that can look like a school of bait fish. So just taking a few very simple precautions can greatly reduce your already very slim chance of having a negative encounter.
I do a lot of hiking, and one of the things that they tell you is that like bears do not naturally hunt humans, with the exception of polar bears, I believe. But like
Correct.
The grizzly bears and the black bears are not naturally seeking out humans. Obviously, there are some unfortunate encounters, but are sharks kind of the same thing where they're not really looking for us? They're looking for seals and fish, and we just happen to be in the wrong place.
Yeah, so they say that something like 99% of shark bites are a case of mistaken identity, right? And going back to what I said previously, you see a flash from a sparkly bit of jewelry or something, and the shark goes, "Oh, wow, is that food?" Unfortunately, when a shark asks the question, "Is that food?" they do so by taking an investigative bite. And unfortunately for us, they don't have hands, they can't feel it. So that investigative bite can be very, very damaging and in some cases fatal. So when they're trying to figure out if something is or isn't food, that's usually can be a problem. And most of the time, we're not even on the menu. They're just trying to figure out if we are.
Yeah, it kind of seems like you've done everything. Like you've been all over the world. You've seen the wildest and weirdest animals. But I know, Forrest Galante, you have to have some sort of bucket list, right? Like what's next for you that you haven't done?
Oh my goodness, I've got a huge, huge bucket list. I mean, I've still never trekked with the gorillas. I still believe that there are many extinct animals out there that need to be rediscovered so that they can be protected, including potentially the thylacine, maybe one of the most iconic extinct animals in the world in Papua New Guinea. I've never been to Antarctica still. I mean, there are so many things. I want to dive with elephant seals. There are so many things I want to do, and luckily I've got time. So, those bucket lists, I'm slowly getting to check them off one by one. I got to check one off in alien sharks, which was diving with basking sharks. Never had the opportunity to do that before the show, and that was an incredible experience, and I'm looking forward to many more.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to watch it. Alien Sharks Untamed America premieres July 29th at 10 p.m. on Discovery. You can also stream it on HBO Max. I will be seated for this. Forrest, where else can people find you and what else do you have coming up?
The best place to see what we're doing now is on YouTube. We started a YouTube a couple years ago. It's grown tremendously. It's getting a lot of views. We're doing all kinds of amazing wildlife things like that helicopter bison thing I mentioned when we started. That's coming out on YouTube very soon. And, there's just a lot of really cool stuff there. So that's kind of what I recommend people check out at this point.
Forrest Galante, everyone, go check out Alien Sharks Untamed America later this month, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks so much, Forrest.
Thank you.